Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Alexi and this is Soto-Tek. In this video, I want to do a specs comparison between the Galaxy S23 Ultra released this year and the Galaxy S22 Ultra released last year. There are two reasons for this video. One, if you own the S22 Ultra, should you really upgrade? And two, if you own an older Samsung phone and want to upgrade, should you go for the S23 Ultra or save some money and go for the S22 Ultra? Let's start with the screen size, type and resolution. They both have an excellent 6.8 inches dynamic AMOLED screen with the 120Hz adaptive display with the same resolution and same 500 ppi density. To my eyes, they look fantastic and equally great for watching content. I don't think it should be a determining factor in choosing one over the other. Build quality. They are both made of glass back with aluminum frames, and in the case of the S23 Ultra with Gorilla Glass Victus 2, that in theory is supposed to be slightly tougher, and in the case of the S22 Ultra with Gorilla Glass Victus Plus, but glass is glass, you better use a case on both. Power button, volume keys, SIM card, microphone, speakers and S Pen on the same place on both phones. The S23 Ultra has flatter frames which offers a better grip if you are crazy enough to use either phone without a case. They are both IP68 water and dust resistant. They both have the same battery capacity of 5000 mAh. Though since the S23 Ultra has a more efficient chipset, the battery life is really good. Definitely better than on the S22 Ultra, but in my own experience, the battery life on the S22 Ultra has not been bad either, like I've heard a lot of people claiming, but you let me know in the comments below. Storage. The S23 Ultra has 3 storage configurations, with the base model starting at 256GB with 8GB of RAM up to 1TB with 12GB of RAM. The S22 Ultra has 4 storage configurations, with the base model starting at 128GB with 8GB of RAM up to 1TB with 12GB of RAM. Sadly, none of them comes with microSD card to expand the internal memory, so you have to think very carefully about what storage option you really need. They both have exactly the same unlocking methods: face unlock, pattern, password, PIN number, and the under-display fingerprint reader, which I'm still not fond of, and I have to say that it's being surprisingly a little bit temperamental on the S23 Ultra. It might get better with coming updates, but this has been my experience so far. However, face unlock works very well on both. Okay, let's talk about the mighty S Pen, which is the differentiating factor on both phones in relation to other phones in the market. It is still an excellent tool which I really like and use often. Now, I don't see any difference on each phone's S Pen. I think they both have the same functionality with the same latency. They both have a stereo sound with a speaker at the bottom and one on the earpiece. To my ears, the S23 Ultra sounds a little bit better, but let's check that out. In terms of OS updates, they are both on Android 13 with Samsung One UI 5.1. The S23 Ultra has the more efficient Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 and the S22 Ultra, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 and Exynos 2200 depending on the region. All I can say is that though the Snapdragon Gen 2 on the S23 Ultra is more efficient than both chipsets on the S22 Ultra, based on my personal experience, for day-to-day usage, I haven't noticed any substantial difference, but that's me, your experience could be different. When playing high graphic games for extensive period like I rarely do, to be honest, the S22 Ultra will get a little bit warmer and you might notice some stutters every now and then, as expected. But for less demanding games like Temple Run or Subway Surface, they are both fine. Okay, let's talk about the cameras. They both have excellent cameras up there with the best in the market, with basically the same features when it comes to the camera UI. Now, the main difference is that the S23 Ultra has a 200 megapixels main camera lens, which is 12 megapixels by default, and personally, the one I prefer. The S22 Ultra has a 108 megapixels main camera lens, which is also 12 megapixels by default and also the one I prefer. Like I said before, the cameras on the S23 Ultra are great, but I was expecting a little bit more, to be honest. But that's my personal opinion. Maybe my expectations were too high. Now, the one thing I've seen as an improvement is the portrait video. I love portrait videos, and the 4K and even the 1080p portrait video on the S23 Ultra is the best I've seen on any Samsung phone I've used so far. For anything else, they are very close and you should be happy with the results from both phones. Check out my full camera comparison between these two phones and the S21 Ultra and judge by yourself. To conclude, should you upgrade to the S23 Ultra from the S22 Ultra? I personally wouldn't do it. Yes, the S23 Ultra has a more efficient chipset with better battery life, slightly better performance, and 4K portrait video, but is that enough reason to give up your S22 Ultra and pay more for the S23 Ultra? I personally don't think so. I would argue that not even from the S21 Ultra, unless you want the S Pen integrated and you prefer this more boxy design like me. Now, if you are coming from an older phone, which should you buy? The latest and greatest S23 Ultra or save money and get the S22 Ultra? Bear in mind, you can even get the S22 Ultra refurbished in very good conditions for almost half the price, but always buy it from trusted sources and always read the reviews about those sources. Everything is down to personal needs, preferences, likings, and affordability. However, if you want the phone with a better battery life, with minor improvements, one more year of OS updates and security patches, plus money is not an issue, go for the S23 Ultra. Okay, this is all for this video. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and if you are new to the channel, consider subscribing for more honest content and analysis like this one, plus great camera comparisons. I'd really appreciate it. See you in the next one. Hasta la vista.